Yes, big news coming out from Cadillac after Bottas's visit to the factory. This is your daily F1 news. This is F1 Grandstand. I'm Tony Craig, and if you are an F1 fan, of course, you're in the right place. Smash a like on the video, hit the subscribe button and the notification button so you can keep up to date. It makes a huge difference to the success of the channel. Hey guys, I'm going to say hello to the chat. Hey Gemma. Hey Kyle. Nice to have you with us. And yes, Bottas is back, baby, and he is spilling the tea. So let's get into it. Bottas has had a little visit to the Cadillac factory and he is dropping bombs for us today. So obviously Cadillac back in F1 for 2026. It's a very exciting time, an American team. Okay, they've gone with Bottas and Perez as their two main drivers. Jack Crawford's going to be their reserve driver, which is their American box ticked. All good drivers. Jack Crawford really doing well in F2, earning his spot. And more importantly, he's got the required 2 license points to be able to drive in F1 should anything happen to Bottas or Perez. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about Bottas's visit to the factory and the little bombs that Bottas has dropped for us. Okay, so this article coming out from Shay Rogers in F1 Oversteer. So now we all know Bottas. We're excited for him to be back on the grid. We're all excited for him to be in a Cadillac. We know he's quick. We know he brings the car home in 60% of his races, but he's also got quite a big mouth. So this is the long and short of it. So this is what Bottas has had to say about his visit. He said, first of all, he said the project at Cadillac is way further on than he could ever have imagined. And he's super impressed with what they're doing at the factory. But here's the bombshell. From 2028, they will have their own power unit. Obviously, they've got the Ferrari power unit just for the immediate future for 26 and 27. But we all thought that they were going to be running the Ferrari power unit until the next regulation change, which would be 2031. Cadillac are already developing their power unit and they will have their own power unit in 2 seasons' time. In 2028, Cadillac will have their own power unit. That is huge news to get that confirmed from Bottas. They are already very advanced. So this is what he said. Yeah, I didn't actually expect everything to be that advanced. This is what he told Crash. But I guess they started quite a while ago. There's obviously still a lot of work to do, but from what I've seen so far has been impressive and gives me more confidence for the future. So he knows that Cadillac's power unit's going to be ready for 2028, and he knows that they're already ahead of the curve. So I'm not sure Bottas should have dropped that particular bombshell, but that is crazy to hear that Cadillac will be in a position to run their own American-made power unit in 2028. That's 2 seasons into Formula One. That's big news. Gemma's in the chat saying Bottas my absolute favourite driver. Kyle says definitely coolest guy in the grid. What a time to be alive. It really is. If you're a Cadillac F1 fan, you really should be getting excited because Cadillac, as far as I'm concerned, are doing everything right in how they're building this F1 team. They've got the team ready for the grid. They've stolen staff from Alpine, Mercedes, and they've also brought their in-house team as well. They've gone with a Ferrari power unit because why not? You're brand new to the grid, even though you had the intent to bring your own power unit. And they're basically saying they'll have their own power unit, according to Bottas, in 2028. That is huge because the easiest option for Cadillac is to do what Haas did and to have a Ferrari power unit, a Ferrari gearbox, Ferrari suspension, everything from the Ferrari parts bin for a number of years. But Cadillac have gone, nah, we're not doing that. we're getting on the grid and we're going to deliver our own power unit as quickly as possible. And that means they'll also deliver the American drivers as quickly as possible. So by 2028, you could have an all-American team, American power unit, American drivers. And the reason why I say that is because Bottas and Perez have signed 2-year deals. So that's 2026, 2027. We don't know if they're going to be, they'll have an option, I guess. Cadillac may offer them a deal for 28, but why would they? If they've got Jack Crawford, who's 20 years old, killing an F2, required super license points, gets all the experience and knowledge from Perez and Bottas, and then in 2028, Cadillac go, now we're really on the grid. We've got our own power unit, we've got our own American driver, Caddy here, baby. And that's an amazing timeline. That's an incredible timeline. Within 2 years, you know, to have 2 seasons, replace Ferrari's power unit with the Cadillac's power unit, replace Bottas and Perez with probably Jack Crawford and Colton Herta, because Colton Herta, don't forget, is one of their development drivers who's going to be racing an F2 next year for one of the TWG Cadillac family teams, building up his super license points. And it's all timed perfectly. And then Bottas, after his visit to the Cadillac factory, dropping bombs saying, yeah, they're super advanced and Cadillac will have their own engine in 2028. It's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. I don't know whether Cadillac would have wanted him to necessarily reveal that, but F1 Oversteer, Kyle, F1 Oversteer, releasing that article today. So Bottas, that's the good thing about Bottas. He's great for press because he has got quite a big mouth. He does talk freely. And so I'm here for it. So if you are a Cadillac fan, get excited. You know, you're hitting the grid in 26. You've got 2 great drivers who are going to develop your team. Cadillac are obviously putting loads of money in developing their engine, and they're going to have their power unit in 28. Jack Crawford will only be 22. Perfect reserve driver next year. Colton Herta will have done 2 years in development drive. Got his super license points. All-American team, 2028. The writing's on the wall. What do you think about it? Are you here for Cadillac next year and beyond? So yeah, I thought that was a fascinating story that I wanted to share with you. ValtteriBottas spilling the tea. But yeah, interesting for me. So I really think they're on track. And you know what's really interesting is, I remember, you know, my man on the ground, Tubby George, he told us that was the plan. And now we can see it unfolding exactly as Tubby George said. Tubby told us it's going to be Bottas and Perez before everyone else. And he was right. I told you it was going to be a double driver announcement, and it was right. And now, and when we told you that Cadillac will have their own power unit within 3 years, well, it looks like it's going to be the 3rd year in Formula One. They'll have their own power unit. That is incredibly impressive. Incredibly impressive. So, big news. Bottas dropping bombs and confirmations just how Cadillac are developing their team. And I am here for it. And just for everyone who loves a little bit of Bottas, there he is. Bottas, thank you for the story. Thank you, F1 Oversteer. Thank you for filling us in on what is going on over there. And I'm here for it. Roll on 2026. Roll on 2028. You just might find that Cadillac are actually competitive by then and they'll have their own power unit. So, big news coming out of the Cadillac F1 camp. Other big news today. So, speaking of engines, well, here's another story about an engine. And it's Carlossainz, who again is spilling more tea for us. So James Vowles and Carlossainz are basically addressing talks in the paddock regarding the Mercedes 2026 F1 power unit. So this is again another story coming out from F1 Oversteer by Ashley Hambley. Now, we all know the rumours. The rumours about the Mercedes power unit are, it's good. It's very good. Which is good news for all of these teams, because Mercedes are supplying themselves, McLaren, Williams and Alpine with power units for 2026. Now, this is where it gets interesting, and this is why James Bowles and Carlossainz are in a position to talk about that power unit, is because Carlossainz has been doing some testing of said power unit. Even though Carlossainz is a Williams driver, Williams are running the Mercedes power unit in 2026. Now, going back to the rumours. So the rumours about the Mercedes power unit is it's very good. It's very good. So Carlossainz has basically been quizzed about it. And he is very, very optimistic for the new Mercedes engine. As a driver for a customer team, it's a little bit more telling, because Sainz has been helping Mercedes with the development of their new engine in hopes of giving himself the best chance of returning in 2026 with a competitive car underneath him. So he spoke with an interview with El Partidazo de Cope. The Spaniard openly shared his enthusiasm over the new power unit, whilst also identifying the issues that will come with it. So this is what he said. So he was asked if he believes in the rumours about the engine that are currently circulating the paddock. And a 31-year-old replied, yeah, I have a lot of confidence in the Mercedes engine. It's actually one of the main reasons I chose Williams for this new regulation change. I knew we'd be running the Mercedes power unit, and everything I've heard about it has been positive, and it still is. But of course, we can't forget the Mercedes will have the Mercedes engine, McLaren will have it, Alpine will have it, and so will Williams. That's already 4 teams, 8 cars with the same engine. And 2 of those teams, especially McLaren, are superior right now. So no matter how good the engine is, you still need to get everything right with the chassis. And of course, Aston Martin will have Honda. They're going to be competitive, and Ferrari will always be there or thereabouts. So what he's basically telling us all is confirming that Mercedes are completely on track with their power unit development, and it's going to be a good one. Now, we knew this, right? We knew this because Toto Wolff's silence about the engine has been telling, and is also Toto Wolff's objection to Red Bull's request that the 50-50 split between internal combustion engine and to electrification have a margin of 5 or 10% variance that will allow sometimes for there to be 55 or 60% internal combustion engine and 40% electrification, and vice versa. He wanted that built. Red Bull want that built in because their power unit needs it, because they're running out of power at the end of long straights. Toto Wolff has gone, no, we don't want that change. It's 50-50. And he said, no way. But the FIA have said, yes way, we are going to allow for a 5% or a 10% variance. Toto Wolff was upset about that. Why was he upset about that? Because he knows his power unit's freaking great and it runs exactly on a 50-50 split because the Germans designed it that way and they're brilliant at engineering and it works. So he was absolutely full of objections. Said we can't change the regulation to accommodate Red Bull, but they have. And it was Christian Horner actually who raised the objection originally. So yeah, that is why I know that the Mercedes power unit is brilliant. Carlossainz has now confirmed the Mercedes power unit is brilliant. And I'm going to come to the chat because Kyle has hit the nail on the head. Kyle says, the Ferrari power unit is my biggest concern for them. 100% agree. I'm not convinced that power unit of Ferrari is anywhere near as good. We've got no data on it. We've got nobody to confirm that power unit's any good. And Ferrari seems like an absolute rats leaving a sinking ship. Gemma says, next season will be a great one to watch in response to the Cadillac entry. So Kyle says, Cadillac and Chevy has been successful in everything to do. I can't wait to see what they do in F1. I agree. The Americans have come to play. Cadillac have not come to make up the numbers. And the fact that they can develop an engine to have it ready and on the grid 2 years after their debut season is amazing. 2028 for Cadillac to have an all-American car and an all-American power unit in their 3rd season in F1 is remarkable. And going back to Kyle's point about the Ferrari power unit being an absolute bag of spanners, there is so much evidence that is pointing to that. And Kyle's exactly right. the things that Charles has said is enough to cause concern about Ferrari. Charles Leclerc this week, he said so many negative things about Ferrari. His team looking for an out, for a better car for him to drive. Plus, lots more that we've got information coming out tomorrow on the crisis at Ferrari, and you're going to be around for that video. It's a big one. But you're right, and the power unit is just one part of that puzzle, which does not look good. I think Ferrari are in major trouble in 2026, and I think also Haas, because of that, are in major trouble. And I also think that Cadillac will want to get, they may even try and bring their engine development forward, because I'm not sure that Ferrari power unit is going to be any good. And I think the news coming out today from Bottas that Cadillac are going to have their power unit ready for 2028 is honestly great news for Cadillac, because it is rats off a sinking ship at Ferrari at the moment for me. Charles and Horner at Audi. Yeah, could you imagine? Could you imagine Horner going to Audi? I don't think Audi will give him shares. But Leclerc is going to move in 27. I can see that happening. And we'll also talk tomorrow about this. If Leclerc moves to Audi, moves anywhere, I think we could see Piastri moving to Ferrari. But why would he move to if Ferrari are not competitive in 26? It doesn't matter what the dramas are like at McLaren. If you're Oscar Piastri, I'm not going to a weak Ferrari team. What's the point? You may as well join Alpine. It doesn't matter what the brand says. There's no point going to a weak team. Aston Martin are probably going to be strong. Williams might be strong next season. You know, we might get a surprise. You know, Red Bull, not sure. Red Bull probably not. But that's the thing. All of this power unit development is fascinating, because there really are engine wars going on. But James Voles and Carlos Sainz have both confirmed that Mercedes power unit is good. So, like Voles and Sainz have said in the press, the key thing for them is the integration of that Mercedes power unit. But if you look at McLaren, they integrated the Mercedes power unit, and look how dominant they've been. More dominant than Mercedes. Obviously, the better the Mercedes. So chassis design at Williams is going to be key. And James Voles, as an engineer and team principal, I think he's been doing a lot of work this year, just like all the teams, on that 2026 package. So I think it's going to be a very interesting time. And Carlos Sainz as well is he is a very good driver. He's a very good driver. Give him a good car, he's going to get you podiums. Kyle says, surely Ferrari will get it together in the second half of 26. They might start off slow, but they are Ferrari. Well, we would have thought that over the last few years, right? Ferrari, the problem with Ferrari is, I would have agreed with you. If Ferrari start off slow, you'd expect them to get better. But this season, has that happened? Not really. I think the problems at Ferrari are deeper than what we've ever seen before at a Ferrari Formula One team. That's what I believe. I think the problems run so deep and it's so toxic within the Ferrari F1 team that it's going to take open heart surgery to sort that team out. And if they come to the grid in 26 with a car that's as bad as it's been this year, I think Ferrari is in dire straits. And I think Fred Vasseur's part of the problem. The way it's run is part of the problem. Kyle Nelson says Sainz is a smooth operator. I had to say it. He is. Yeah, Carlos Sainz. I mean, he's like the most handsome man on the grid, isn't he? Carlos. But Carlos or Charles Leclerc, they're battling out for that, according to girls I know. They all like him, and some guys, to be fair. But yeah, Carlos Sainz, he's a smooth operator. Gemma says he carries WD-40 in his back pocket. Yeah, but that's the thing. Carlos Sainz is quick. He's quick. He's. I think he gives great feedback for the team. And I think if the Williams and Mercedes package next season is strong, and I don't see why it won't be. I think they'll improve. If you look at what's happened since James Vowles has taken over at Williams, they've gone from a P9 team, second to last, to P5, and they're getting better under his stewardship every year. Do I think they're going to improve again next year? Yeah, I do. I think Williams could be a surprise package in 26. Aston Martin, of course, with a new car are going to be quick. So yeah, I think the news coming out today from those two guys has been fascinating and very important. Bottas letting it slip that 2028 Cadillac will have their own power unit, and Carlos Sainz confirming the rumours in the paddock that Mercedes are way ahead of the curve with their power unit. And honestly, if you are any of these teams right now, you are gonna be rubbing your hands together. If you're Mercedes, if you're Alpine, you're Williams and McLaren, you're gonna be like, thank God we went with the Mercedes power unit and not the Ferrari one. Thank you, Lord. We did the right deal. Because if you look at the last major power unit change, Mercedes are always bringing reliable, quick engines. They're good at it. 2014, they were dominant after they went to the V6s. They brought and we're going to an era where the engine and the power unit is going to be the most important part of the car. It's that we're going out of the ground effect era where it was about ground effect and aero back to power and managing power. And we saw it in 2014, and we saw Mercedes dominate for years with Lewis Hamilton and that package. That power unit, we could see the same thing again in 2026. And anyone that's gone with the Ferrari power unit, I'm sorry, I'm not sure that was the right move. I think it was a bad move. Honda are going to be great. They're going to bring something great. The Red Bull Ford power unit, I don't know. Who knows? It's a gamble. We could be surprised. They could bring Ford, all that know-how, all of that resource. They're the biggest car manufacturer in the world. They're not idiots, are they? Who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us with an engine that just kicks everybody's arse. I doubt it, but I'm here for it if that is the case. So yeah, that's your big power unit news. Which brings me on to, while we're talking about Mercedes, I've got the third story of the night. Back to this guy. Back to Toto. Back to Toto and George and the contract negotiations, which seem to be going on forever. Now, George Russell wins in Singapore. Great result. He's been holding out for a couple of things to be met in his contract. Toto Wolff done his disappearing act. Terrible to negotiate with. But now we've finally got some news today coming out from motorsport.com. So basically this is what they're saying. This is the party line for your contract news about George Russell. Both parties have remained tight-lipped on the progress of these talks, but Wolff admitted after the Singapore Grand Prix that the pair were now working on the detail of the new contract. So that's George's contract with Mercedes. And this is what Wolff said. Contract-wise, good things take a while, Wolff said after Russell picked up a lights-to-flag victory at Marina Bay on Sunday. It's about the detail. It's not about the big topics. So what Wolff is saying is, it's not about the money. I basically agreed the money. Okay. It's about the detail. And those details are things like the sponsor commitment days. Russell wants less sponsor commitment days. And Russell also wants to have an automatic extension should he hit certain performance clauses in his contract. So Wolff said, we'll announce it soon enough. And then Russell's part of the proceedings, he explained the things have to be done right. While speaking with reporters at the Singapore race, negotiations remain ongoing between him and his employer, but they're trying to get something that's mutually beneficial. I think for any driver, when you get to a certain point in your career, things have to be done right. And Russell said every time you renew a contract, it's the most important one of your life. And it has to be done with good care. There's nothing to worry about, and it will get done when it's done. Wolff was full of praise for Russell after his win in Singapore. He's confirmed that he's had a formidable year. I haven't seen any mistakes. There were weekends that himself that George said he could have done more, but this happens with any driver. You can just see when the car and the driver merge together, these are the results you can have, like we've had in Singapore. So Wolff's full of praise. He's finally, I think, become available to negotiate those finer things in the contracts that he's talking about there, because he did disappear on George. He did publicly back and court Max Verstappen, having him on his yacht, and he would have taken him in 26 if he could. But now, finally, both parties are saying, we've agreed the big stuff, the contract's going to be agreed, and now it's about the detail. And those details will be those things. Sponsor days and performance clauses. Gemma says the Wolf is wolfing. The Wolf is always wolfing, and he likes to disappear when it comes down to actually getting the finer points agreed. He goes off the radar, but you can't go off the radar when your driver's winning your races, can you? You can't do that, because last two races, Russell's got a P2 and a P1 in a Mercedes, which really, by rights, probably shouldn't be performing that well. That Mercedes only does well in cool, dry conditions. And I wouldn't have said Singapore was cool, really. It wasn't overly hot, but it wasn't the same conditions as Canada, right? So, finally, I think Wolff's now going, shit, I need to give George Russell the money he wants, and he wanted the same money as Lando Norris. And I need to consider that maybe I have to concede that George Russell doesn't have to do as many sponsor days, and rookie driver Kimi Antonelli can do those and fill those gaps, because George Russell wants more time off on his new boat. And also, maybe I should reward Russell for a great season in a bad Mercedes. He really should. I mean, really, put your hand in your pocket, pay him, because George Russell is definitely a top 3 driver on the grid, and you have embarrassed him a little bit by courting Max Verstappen publicly. So yeah, sign the deal. Give him a reward. Don't just try and get him on an extended contract, which is not a reward for all the good work that you've done. I think George Russell deserves it. And especially after Singapore, he definitely deserves it. So I think Toto Wolff, notoriously hard to negotiate with, has finally conceded on a couple of points, and that announcement will be coming in the coming days. And I think poor old Kimi Antonelli is going to get lumbered with a lot more sponsor days than he probably would have liked. But that's what you do as your number 2 driver. You're a rookie. You've not been as good as George Russell. George Russell has taken you to school this season, Kimi. So yeah, you have to pick up the slack for George and do more sponsor days. He don't want to be, you know what I mean? Like, I saw a picture of George Russell having to wear some yellow hard hat, AMG Petronas, like chemical factory, with just like putting a fake smile on. And he's probably thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? I want to win Grand Prix races. This is the day out of my day where I've got to dress in a hard hat and be in this factory. I don't want to be here. Get Kimi to do it. And I don't blame him, to be fair. So yeah, I think that's what's happening. Wolff rankings of number 4, Teen Wolf. Number 3, Jacob Black. Is that the guy out of Twilight? Number 2, Enid Sinclair. Number 1, Toto. Toto Wolff is the number 1 wolf, is he? Out of all the wolves. That's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take those wolf rankings. Anyone in the chat going to challenge Kyle on his wolf rankings? Name a better wolf than Toto Wolff. Yeah, get in the chat and let me know. And if you watch on replay, join in. It's funny. and I will be responding to all of your comments. But that's basically your updates of what's been going on with the George Russell contract. Yeah, loads have been going on today. So we've had Bottas in the Cadillac factory letting things slip about what's going on over there, that Cadillac are going to have their own power unit as early as 2028, and that they are way further advanced than he ever thought they were going to be. So that's great news for Cadillac fans. And then we've got Carlossainz. I didn't even realise, as a customer team of Mercedes engines, that Carlossainz was actually helping with the development of those engines. He's actually testing them. So great for Mercedes to have a driver like him giving feedback on the engine, but also great for Williams. And they're confirming that power unit is good as well. So the rumours are true. And then we've got Wolfing finally conceded on some of George Russell's contract requests. I'm not even going to say demands. I'm going to say requests. And making himself available when there's only 6 races left for the 2026 season. But the noises out of both camps are, it's about the detail. They're agreeing the detail. So Wolf has probably said after Singapore, all right, here's your extra X amount of millions that, you know, for next year. And you want parity with Lando Norris. That's what they say. George wanted 25 mil. And I think maybe Toto's gone, all right, I'll give you that. You know, you're on a 1+1, 25 mil next year. Okay. Because I think they were probably offering something around 16. So yeah, maybe that's what's happened. And good for George Russell for finding his balls, you know, and digging his heels in and letting his driving do the talking through the negotiations. Because that takes a lot of balls, that. You push back on your contract. You say, I'm not happy with this. You haven't got a contract for 2026. Yet you go out and you put the car P2 in Baku from P5 on the grid, and then you win in Singapore after putting that car on pole. I mean, that's a hell of a way to negotiate, right? He's let his driving do the talking. Fair play to George Russell. He deserves a special mention. George Russell really putting his... We have a phrase in the UK. He really put his cock on the chopping block, right? He's not agreed the deal that's been on the table from Toto Wolff, and then goes out, gets P2 in Baku, qualifies P5, and then puts the Mercedes on pole and wins flag to flag in Singapore, all without a contract for 2026 while he's negotiating. And if you do want more money and you do want parity with Lando Norris, what a way to get it. So George Russell, we at F1 Grandstand, we salute your big balls. That is a way to negotiate. Hey Will, nice to see you in the chat, my friend. You've come a bit late. We start at 7:30. You're gonna have to watch it on replay. But yeah, and Kyle says contract clause, beat Max, keep your seat. Do you know what? Why not? We don't know whether Red Bull's going to be competitive. Know how good Max Verstappen is. We don't know whether Red Bull are going to bring an absolute bag of spanners next year, because that Red Bull Ford power unit, I'm just not convinced by it. We haven't seen any data other than they run out of power on long straights. That doesn't really provide me with much confidence that Max is going to have a competitive car in 26. But yeah, I don't know. They've definitely got to get the finer print in that contract. But it'll come, and I think we'll get an announcement before. Maybe I think when it comes to the US Grand Prix next weekend, I think we'll have it that the I's dotted and the T's crossed by then. But thanks for getting the chat, Will. Nice to see you in there. You've missed the majority of the show. We've been talking about Cadillac. We've been talking about the Williams Carlos Sainz telling us, confirming that Mercedes power unit is good. And we've also got the confirmation that Cadillac are going to be running their own power unit in 2028. So you better go back and watch the replay to catch up on it all. And then you can get in the chat in the replay. And I promise I'll respond to you, Will. But it is good to have you in the chat and in with our community. But I'm actually coming to the end. It's quite a short one tonight, guys. There's loads going on, but I'm preparing a big one for tomorrow. We've got a big one tomorrow, and it's explosive, and you don't want to miss it. We do some work on it today. It will be ready tomorrow. You do not want to miss it. It's a big one. It's explosive news, and our man on the ground, Tubby George, is doing the digging for us so we can come at you with some good receipts as well. So tomorrow night, baby, you don't want to miss it. It's going to be good. So yeah, that is your daily F1 news today. It's been a lot. And if you joined us late, thanks for joining. Watch it on replay. Catch up. Get in the chat. And I will respond to each and every one of you. So big thank you to Will. Big thank you to Kyle. Big thank you to Gemma. And anyone else that's been in our chat for the live show. Brilliant community. Come and join us. The biggest, well, not the biggest, the fastest growing F1 community on the internet, and we want you to be part of it. Please smash a like on the video, hit the bell and the notification button. It makes a huge difference to the success of the channel. It makes a big difference to me, and I am so grateful to each and every one of you. Thanks for watching. I will be back tomorrow with something explosive, I promise you that. So enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you all tomorrow. Ta-ta.